Emma, Liam, Sophia, Jack and Mia were thrilled. They were finally on their annual camping trip. This year they chose Redwood National Park. It was famous for its towering trees and breathtaking views. Laughter filled the car as they sang along to their favorite songs. The friends couldn't wait to set up camp. They had been planning this trip for months. Each one had a role to play.
I'm the navigator, guys, so just follow my lead.
Liam, the strongest of them all, was in charge of the tent.
Don't worry, I've got the tent covered.
Sophia was their designated cook.
I'll make sure we don't go hungry.
Jack and Mia, the mischievous twins, promised to keep the spirits high.
You can count on us for some fun.
Yeah, we'll keep things lively.
As they entered the park, the sunlight filtering through the leaves created an ethereal glow. The air was fresh and crisp. The friends were ecstatic to be in nature's lap, away from the city's noise and their busy lives. Little did they know that their excitement was about to take a sinister turn. They were about to face their fears. This trip was going to be nothing like they had imagined. Following Emma's directions on the GPS, they drove deeper into the park. They finally found the perfect spot to set up camp.
This is it.
Liam exclaimed, pulling the car over. The friends piled out, eager to explore their surroundings. They unloaded the car and decided to go for a short hike before sunset.
Let's stay close and stick to the trail.
Emma reminded everyone, her eyes on the map. But as they ventured further, the woods grew denser and darker. The once familiar sounds of birdsong were replaced by an unsettling silence. Suddenly, Emma stopped.
Guys, I think we're lost.
Her voice trembling slightly. Her GPS had no signal. They tried retracing their steps, but every turn seemed unfamiliar. Panic began to set in as the forest around them grew darker and more menacing. The trees, once majestic, now seemed to close in on them. Their branches, gnarled and twisted, looked like skeletal fingers reaching out. "I told you we should have stayed closer to the campsite," Sophia muttered, her voice tight with fear. The playful banter from earlier was gone, replaced by an uneasy silence. Even the twins, Jack and Mia, were unusually quiet, their eyes darting around nervously. The air grew heavy, thick with an unnatural stillness. The only sound was the rustling of leaves beneath their feet. It felt as if the forest itself was holding its breath, watching them, waiting.
We need to find shelter before it gets dark. There has to be a ranger station or something nearby.
Just as despair threatened to engulf them, a faint light flickered in the distance. It was a beacon of hope in the deepening darkness. With renewed determination, they stumbled towards it, their hearts pounding in their chests. As they drew closer, the faint light resolved itself into a warm glow. It emanated from a small, dilapidated shack, nestled deep within the woods. It was a crude structure, cobbled together from mismatched planks of wood. The windows were boarded up and the door hung precariously from one hinge. Despite its eerie appearance, the sight of the shack brought a wave of relief washing over them. It offered at least the promise of shelter. As they approached cautiously, Liam called out,
Hello, is anyone there?
A moment of silence followed his call. The silence seemed to amplify the pounding of their hearts. Just as they were about to turn away, they heard a voice. It was a raspy voice that seemed to originate from within the shack. "Goatherder, who's there?" disturbing an old man's peace. The voice was rough and unfamiliar, sending shivers down their spines. The friends exchanged nervous glances. Tentatively, they pushed open the creaking door. The interior was dim and smoky, lit by a single flickering lantern that hung from a rafter. The air was thick with the smell of wood smoke and something musky and unfamiliar.
Guys, this place gives me the creeps.
Seated on a rickety stool was an old man. His face was weathered and creased with age, framed by a long, unkempt beard that flowed down his chest like a waterfall of silver. He wore a patched and faded tunic and a pair of worn leather boots.
Do you think he can help us?
I don't know, but we don't have many options.
His eyes, however, were what truly captivated them. They were a piercing blue, like chips of ice, and seemed to bore into them, reading their fears and anxieties.
Look at his eyes. It's like he can see right through us.
"Lost, are we?" The old man finally spoke, his voice a raspy whisper. "This forest plays tricks on those who venture too far from the beaten path. He didn't seem surprised to see them, as if he had been expecting their arrival.
How did he know we were coming?
The group stood in silence, feeling the weight of the old man's gaze upon them, uncertain of what to do next.
We just took a wrong turn. We were hoping you could tell us how to get back to the main road.
The old man chuckled, a dry, crackling sound that echoed eerily in the small shack.
The forest decides who stays and who goes. Night is falling. It's not safe to wander these woods after dark.
His words sent a chill down their spines, confirming their worst fears.
But we have to get back. Our campsite. Our friends are waiting for us.
The old man simply shook his head, his expression grave.
The forest demands respect. Stay the night. Leave in the morning when the sun rises.
His words hung in the air, heavy with an unspoken threat. Reluctantly, the friends agreed to stay the night. They knew arguing with the old man was futile. They stepped back out into the night. The forest seemed to press in around them, the darkness alive with unseen eyes and rustling sounds. The old man, watching them from the doorway, pointed a gnarled finger towards a clearing a short distance from the shack.
You can set up camp there, and be warned, young ones. Do not stray from the light.
His words echoed ominously in the night air as they hastily unloaded their gear. The air crackled with an unsettling energy, heightening their anxiety. They worked quickly, their movements jerky and uncoordinated. They just wanted the safety of their tent. Each one of them couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The old man retreated inside his shack, but the friends couldn't shake off the feeling that his eyes were still on them. They felt like trapped animals under a predator's gaze. They huddled around their makeshift campfire, the flickering flames offering little comfort in the overwhelming darkness. Even Liam, usually the bravest of the group, seemed unnerved.
What did he mean? Do not stray from the light.
Sophia shivered, pulling her jacket tighter around herself.
I don't like this. This whole forest feels wrong.
Jack and Mia, usually full of mischief, were unusually quiet, their faces pale and drawn. They huddled closer to the fire, as if seeking solace in its warmth. But the shadows danced around them, whispering tales of unknown dangers lurking in the darkness. Sleep was a distant dream that night. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent shivers down their spines. The old man's warning echoed in their ears, amplifying their fears. The forest seemed to close in on them, the darkness pressing against the edges of the firelight like a living, breathing entity. They took turns keeping watch, their eyes darting nervously around the campsite. The hours crawled by with agonizing slowness. Each one of them was haunted by the same chilling thought. They shouldn't have ignored the eerie feeling that had settled over them the moment they entered the woods. They were trapped. They could only hope that morning would come soon, and with it a chance to escape the menacing woods and the watchful gaze of the old man in the shack. As the night wore on, one thing became terrifyingly clear. They were not alone in the haunted forest, and morning felt like an eternity away.